morning, and welcome to Skywatcher's 5th interactive Bible devotional on man being created in the image of God. I want to thank you for being a part of this Bible study, and it's our hope that you have grown both in the knowledge and understanding of God's Word, especially in regards to this doctrine. It is our goal to demonstrate just how foundational or how important this doctrine is, not only to us as individual Christians, but also to any civilized society. As we continue through this study, we're going to see more and more how devastating it can be to a nation or a people when this doctrine, when this belief is replaced or removed. So far, we have begun to illustrate this doctrine by building this image of God building, both figuratively and literally together. We spent some time in the wood shop starting to build our building, and it's exciting to hear how you guys have learned and grown through this. But we've established so far that the most simple biblical explanation for man being created in the image of God is that we are his representatives here on this earth. And if that narrow truth is correct, then these are our floorboards to our building. 2 logical deductions and 2 sets of questions. First off, we know that if we're his representative, as his image bearers, that he is our authority to which every one of us will have to give an account. Secondly, we know that we're designed, and as the pinnacle of his creation, that we are also distinct. And then the first set of questions, which Pastor Todd Grover answered for us on the last devotional, is after the fall, after Genesis chapter 3, does the image of God remain on man, or was it removed? And today we're going to answer that second set of questions, that fourth and final floorboard to our building, and that is, to what extent is the image of God on man, and are there any exceptions? To answer this question, we're excited to have Jordan, Rhi, and Emerson Appleby share their story with you. Not only do they biblically understand the answer to this question, but they live it out each and every day. I'm joined by my wife Jessie here, and she will get to help introduce the Applebys.
The Applebys are dear friends of ours, and their heartwarming story has inspired our family. And we are hoping that by sharing their story, you will also be impacted.
Hey Skywatchers, this is my wife Rhiannon. I'm Jordan Appleby, and then our daughter Emerson is currently occupied watching some Coco Melon right now, so hopefully she stays quiet for a little bit. We are going to be talking about 2 of the E words, exempt and exemption, within the image of God. I'm going to start us off with a little Bible verse here. It'll be Genesis 1:26 through 27. Then God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the birds of the heavens, and over the livestock, and over the earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps on the earth." So God created man in his own image. In the image of God he created him. Male and female he created them.
Yeah, so I think that is just a really important point to make when we're talking about extent. So as believers, we are under the understanding that the extent of the image of God begins pretty much at the moment of conception until the moment we take our final breath and go to heaven. So I just think that verse really hits home for us and makes us understand it's within the first book of the Bible in Genesis. So obviously God making us understand that we're created in his image is of utmost importance because it takes place right in the beginning of Genesis. So as far as extent, we believe that, the limits of that are at birth / moment of conception, because at that moment we're a unique individual that God designed himself. There's going to be no duplicates. I'm not like him. He's not like me. We're not like you. And the end of that would be until we take our final breaths here on earth. So
again, that's extent, the first E word, from beginning all the way to the end.
And another verse, just to kind of bounce off of that, that verse really hit home or drove in the point of like the beginning end of extent. And for the end of extent, we found, let me pull it up here, Psalm 48:14. For this God is our God forever and ever. He will be our guide even unto death. So I think that really
Yeah, I think
drives-
that some of the key words are there: forever and ever. He does not stop with that.
yeah, even unto death. So
Okay, let's move on to the second E word, which is exemption.
and this is kind of, extent lays the foundation, so birth and death, beginning and end, and then exemption is more of the details. So are there any exceptions to that, or things of that matter? And for that, I'm going to read Psalm 139. This is a really well-known verse, especially for the pro-life community. So Psalm 139, verse 13 and 14. For you formed my inward parts, you knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful are your works, my soul knows it very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was being made in secret, intricately woven in the depths of the earth. Your eyes saw my unformed substance, and in your book were written, every one of them, the days that were formed for me, when as yet there was none of them. So I read a little past 14, that was actually 13 through 16, but I just think those verses are really important for us to understand.
So, Rhi and I have a handicapped daughter with a few rare conditions, so we believe there is no exemption to that. God made her just as He wanted her to be. It's difficult at times, but we stay on key. We stay in biblical truth that God created her exactly how He wanted her. It can be difficult at times, but the long-term plan is, we're living here for God, and we're living through God to be the best parents and the best role models to other handicapped parents. Hopefully, they can see how we lean on Jesus to get through the daily grind with her.
Yeah. And just a little more backstory with that. So we initially found out about her rare conditions in the womb at my 20-week ultrasound. We were totally, thrown for a loop. This was our first child, our first pregnancy. So we were obviously really excited to be parents. And then to find out that our baby was going to have all these rare conditions was really difficult for us, to be honest. And at that 20-week ultrasound, they had initially told us, she wouldn't be compatible with life outside the womb. And those conversations led into encouraging us to pursue another option for the pregnancy, which would be termination. And that was really difficult for us. And I think that scenario and just our experience with Emerson, like he said, has really forced us almost in a way to lean into Jesus and trust God and His plan completely, because He's sovereign over Emerson's life.
At that time, we were asking, why us? Why is she going to be like this? We're going to miss out on all these things. But at the end of the day, it's perfect. She's perfect for us, and she is perfect for Him, because He created her in exactly the way He wanted her to be. So
yeah, and through our process, we've really, at the beginning, we were trying, when she was born and adjusting to having her and everything, we were trying to figure out why did this happen, like Jordan had mentioned. They encouraged us to do all these genetic testing, and she actually got accepted into a program a couple of years ago where they could, pick even further into the genetics of trying to find an answer to why this happened. And we just got our results back almost a year and a half later, in this past December, and they still couldn't give us any answers. And at the end of that phone call, I just remember turning to Jordan, and we both kind of said, we don't need any answers.
Yeah.
She's exactly who she's supposed to be. No genetic testing or diagnosis is going to change what God designed.
God will not exempt her just because of her condition.
Yeah.
We don't need scientific answers. His answer is way beyond scientific answers. Even though we don't understand them, that is okay.
And that goes for any exemption, gender, race, mental handicaps, mental illness, physical handicaps. There's no exception. There's no exemption, because God is the creator of everyone.
Yep.
He really wants you to be exactly who He created you to be.
Yes, if God created us all the same, life would be extremely boring, and that's amazing that He creates us so differently to make life full of experiences for different people.
And we've learned so much from having Emerson. as far as life, and it's deepened our faith and our walk with Christ, that I wonder kind of where we would be if we didn't have her. So
Yep.
it's just something to keep in mind.
So those, anything else? So those are the two E words, extent and exemption. Extent is from beginning to end, and God does not have any exemptions for any of us. He loves us all, and you are created just how He wanted you to be.
Yep, in His image.
Yep. All right, Sky Watchers, take care.
Well, thank you, Jordan, Rhi, and Emerson, for sharing your story. You guys truly are a blessing to me and my family, and we just love you guys. And we thank you for demonstrating what it means to live out each and every day what you believe. And so thank you for that. Thank you also for your biblical answer. You used Psalm 139, and you said it's a well-known verse. Well, the reason it's so well-known is because its teaching is so clear as far as answering this question as to the extent into which man bears the image from conception till death. And so thank you. You also went back to Genesis 1, our key passage where the doctrine originates from. And, we can see that there are no exemptions. Male, female, both bear the image. And race, color, creed, things like that, disabilities don't take away from the fact that we are His image bearers. And so you can start to see just how important this doctrine is, because things like abortion, things like racism, those have no place in the life or belief system of anyone who claims to follow the Scriptures and walk with Christ. They just don't. And so we're trying to build this doctrine right. That's why we're building this building here. And so I want to thank the boys, the Skywatcher boys from Unit 60. They've been helping out with this, and so we're working on building our building to help illustrate this doctrine. In our next devotional, you're going to get to hear from a builder that is dealing with issues in a literal building situation, in a home that wasn't built right, and the problems that he's facing when things aren't done well and done right. And so look forward to sharing that with you. And as always, keep an eye to the sky.